Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of the Zero Disrespect Podcast. I'm your host, Isaac Albert, and as always, messing up the intro already. As always, I'm joined by
I should have done it today.
Yeah, I know. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Wyatt Allen Oxley, the king himself. How you doing, Wyatt?
Doing fine.
Hey, that's good. That's
good.
good.
It was a long week. I am so glad it's over.
I am as well. It's been a lot of my classes were canceled though, so like you'd think I'd have an easy week.
Man, I had like 3 weeks in a row where I didn't have like a full like Monday through Friday of having no classes canceled.
Yeah.
I haven't had any classes canceled this week.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. Today I didn't have my comm class, but we had our exam instead.
Yeah.
So might as well have had the class.
And still the assignment.
Yeah.
Still the work you got to do.
Exam was easy, so that's good.
That's good.
But I'm glad because this week's weather has been kind of, for lack of a better term, ass.
Yeah.
But next week's supposed to
Two
be
extra
nice.
S's.
Where's like 14 extra
Yeah.
S's. Like I almost got knocked over by the wind today coming.
Yeah.
Up. Like the little area between the student center and Patterson Office Tower. That's like that's a damn hurricane.
That's the tornado zone. That's what it is.
Like a cyclone.
No, I remember I was walking into the dorm myself the other day, and the wind was just blowing so hard, and I tried to open the door, and I nearly got blown away just trying to open the door, and I was going inside, so it was, I don't know, but the weather has been ass with 14 S's. I will say that.
Well, even on my walk over here, in front of Holmes Hall, it was almost unbearable.
Yeah.
Also, there is silver lining because it's supposed to be nice starting tomorrow, I believe.
We've never done a weather report. Let's do it.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be like 50s and 60s for like 6 days straight.
Dang! It's supposed to rain 4 days next week.
I don't care. It's not gonna be cold rain.
This is true. It is supposed to snow tonight, though. That's gonna be fun. Our listeners are now listening to weathermen talk about the weather.
WLEX. Not quite.
But anyway, let's get into the meat of what the podcast is right now. We've covered the bread. We got the bread down. You're right. The intro, talking about the weather. The meat of the sandwich is coming up right now. We're making a BLT. We're at the lettuce right now.
You like BLTs?
I don't.
I don't either.
We're at the tomato right now.
I was thinking more like turkey, ham, and cheese.
Okay.
We're at the mayo right now.
That's true. That's true. We're at the mayo. We're slowly working our way up to the cheese right now. So as you all know, if you're listening right now, as you know yourself, Wyatt, we, as the University of Kentucky, have been quite proud of our sports here recently. Doing very well.
Lots to be proud of.
With football and recruiting. We got Lynn Bowden and Logan Stenberg going to the draft combine, trying to get drafted. We got Kentucky basketball, who's won, I think, 13 out of the last 15 games. Been crazy. 9 out of the last 10 on a 7-game win streak right now.
Yep.
Women's basketball had senior night last night, won 88-77 against Georgia. Very, very sad to see them leave. It was my last game at the basketball for the season. So, and we got baseball coming up. Mm-hmm. No offense, but
we're gonna probably cut that part out.
Sorry, Nick Mingione, but and we got softball coming up as well.
Softball team's supposed to be pretty good.
They are really good. I'm excited for softball, but it's just a great time to be on campus. I think, minus the weather, I think it's going pretty well. We got midterms and spring break coming up. After that, we got March Madness. It's gonna be a great time here in Lexington, Kentucky, here in the next upcoming weeks, and I just can't wait. But for right now, let's talk about the past. We don't like bringing up the past a lot because we got a lot of past memories that we don't like to relive. However,
yeah, that's a pretty long list.
Exactly. So let's talk about Kentucky and Texas A&M, and we can talk about Kentucky, Florida. Kentucky, Florida was obviously like one of the marquee matchups in the SEC, which we talked about last week. And if you haven't watched it already, what are you doing watching this episode? You can go back and watch last week's and then watch this one if you want to, or vice versa. We really don't care. As long as you're listening, that's all that matters, So, Kentucky and Florida last Saturday was a good match. It was a good matchup. It was 31-31 going into the half, and Kentucky outscored Florida 34-28 in the second half, winning 65-59. The key player in this one was Emmanuel Quickly. It was his first 25-point game. He went 8 for 17 and 6 for 6 from the free throw line. Wyatt, what were you impressed with in this game?
This game went exactly how I thought it would.
You picked the player of the game.
Yep.
You picked quickly.
It's the first time I've ever done that. And I also got within my margin of error.
Yep. 6.
This game went exactly how I thought, where, Florida was not ranked, but I knew, regardless, it was going to be a tough game for Kentucky to win.
Yeah.
Because Florida always brings their A game when they play Kentucky. And, even down into the end of the game, they were not going away. They weren't going away quietly.
They weren't, no.
We had, a 6 or 7 point lead with 30 seconds to go, and they got it within 2.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
we were sitting in here watching it, for the love of God, do not screw up this inbound.
Yeah.
10 seconds left.
Yeah, no, that was... luckily, they got the ball out. They got it quickly. And, he got our free throws for us. He's going to be the most important member of this Kentucky Wildcats team come March.
Yeah. Emmanuel Quickly, kind of a little off topic, but Emmanuel Quickly and Ashton Higgins they will go as far as the two of them take this team, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more.
But back to Florida. Florida shot terribly from 3-point. They were shooting 26% from 3. Kentucky was shooting 33% from 3. Now, even when Florida had was a point where Florida had a 7-point lead in the game in the second half.
Yep.
I was never really nervous. It was one of those games where even when Kentucky wasn't winning, I didn't think they were going to lose.
Yeah, I agree too. And to add on to some of the stats that you just put out, I can't talk today. They out-rebounded us by 3. They got 30, we got 27. And 9, they out-rebounded us with those offensive rebounds because Kentucky and Florida both had 21 defensive rebounds. And then offensively, Florida outmatched us 9-6. So, that's going to hurt Kentucky in some other games that, whereas they're not forcing as many turnovers, it'll hurt them, just like it did in the Evansville game. We couldn't offensive rebound. So now they're learning from their mistakes. They're trying to capitalize on those turnovers.
I've noticed ever since the loss to South Carolina, where we got out-rebounded, out the ass.
Yeah.
And, it ultimately cost us the game.
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky has been so much better at rebounding. Mm-hmm. They didn't rebound all that well against Auburn.
Yeah.
But, they didn't do a whole lot of things very well against Auburn.
There was a lot of room for error in that Auburn game.
Ultimately, Kentucky got the win. Stayed within my margin of error.
That's all you're happy about.
And, I'm right yet again.
There we go. Never fails.
So, I think that Kentucky needed a tough game like that.
I agree.
And I think that Florida game that they have in a couple weeks down there, I think that game will be tough as well.
Yes, Kentucky has done relatively well on the road. They haven't lost the only true road game they've lost was South Carolina, and that was on a buzzer beater.
South Carolina and Auburn were their only 2 true
Auburn,
losses.
yes, excuse me, I forgot about Auburn, yes. And even then, it was just Auburn, we couldn't shoot, and they were in a lot of foul trouble. And then South Carolina, we couldn't rebound. So those are just 2 easy fixes, I think. So fast forward to this past Tuesday, we played, or I always say we like I'm part of the team, part of the fan base. Kentucky played Texas A&M, beat them 69, nice, to 60, and just a monster showing by Emmanuel Quickly in this one yet again. Back-to-back player of the game, and it was just a bloodbath from the 3-point line for Quickly. He went 8 for 12. This guy
finished with 30 points.
Nuts. That's his season high, and he's the first one to do it since Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So congratulations to Emmanuel Quickly.
Yeah, I've noticed over the last couple seasons, sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I noticed over the last couple seasons, Kentucky has basically kind of shared the wealth as far as points across the team.
Yeah.
Where, was it a couple years ago, Malik Monk dropped 45 on
North Carolina.
We don't really see that very much anymore.
No.
So it was good to have one guy just go off.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. First, I want to give props to Nebo, Flag, and Mitchell from Texas A&M. They both got in double digits in scoring. Nebo got 14, Flag got 17, Mitchell got 18. That's nothing to scoff at, So I give mad credit to them where it's due. They pretty much just carried their team, so I give them credit. They went 10 for 22 from the 3-point line, whereas Kentucky went 11 for 22, but 12 of those shots were from quickly. 8 of those were makes. So, you do the math. It's. I just want to give credit. I want to shout out EJ, Ashton Hagans, Quickly, and Maxey. They each played at minimum 37 minutes the past 2 games. So, just want to give tremendous hustle and respect by the Kentucky starting 4 right there. And, Nick Richards, too, for when he was in a lot of foul trouble. He did not have much of a game this game. He had 4 points and 6 rebounds, which is what we needed. And I want to give credit to E.J. Montgomery, too, almost having a double-double. He had 10 rebounds and 8 points. And I'm not sure how many blocks we had total, but so we had 5 blocks this whole game, whereas they had 2. So, all around, I think Kentucky just dominated this. I mean, our largest lead. Let me look this up real fast. I want to say it was like 20, I think. Largest lead. Okay, 14. Excuse me, 14. But it was still a great game, I think.
A couple things to go over. Ashton Hagans still had 5 turnovers.
Yes.
You've asked me before if I think that if Ashton Hagans is going to leave after this year.
He shouldn't.
I don't think he should, because he needs to. If he's going to make it in the NBA, he cannot be a turnover machine.
No. He'll get sent overseas just like that.
Yeah. Another statistic that's really important. We talked in the Florida game how Kentucky got out-rebounded. Mm-hmm. Kentucky out-rebounded Texas A&M 31-23 in this game.
Yeah, that's very impressive. Because they got some good big guys, too.
They were shooting 52%. They were shooting 41%, which is actually pretty good.
And, going into this game, A&M was the worst three-point shooting team in the SEC.
Well, they shot 45 in this game.
Yeah, and then Kentucky was their third now, which is amazing from where we began. We were last in the country in three-point percentage.
I told you early, like a couple weeks ago, that I think this team is a better three-point shooting team than last year's team.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And you told me I was an idiot.
Well, here's the thing, is I didn't realize Quickly would shoot 8 three-pointers in a game, and I didn't think it was impossible, but definitely with the way we shot in the past, recent past, I don't know.
I just feel more confident when I sit down and watch them. I feel more confident than I did like last year and even the year before. Like whenever one of our guys like pulls up to shoot a 3, I feel like there's actually a good chance he'll make it. As opposed to my freshman year, terrible.
Kevin Knox.
Quade Green.
Oh goodness.
Quade Green. I will never forget. Like, because I was watching that Kansas State game, and Quade was the kid that took the shot to the one that could have tied it. And after the game, one of the guys I was watching it with, he was like, man, why did they give the ball to Quade? They had the wrong guy shoot the
They should have called timeout to begin with.
But that is a separate.
We don't want to live that far in the past.
Yeah.
He's academically ineligible at Washington, so
yeah, joke's on him.
Yeah, exactly. Joke's on them for picking him up too.
Honestly, joke's on him because the team last year didn't start out great.
Yeah.
They had that great run in the Bahamas, and then they come back over here and they got crushed by Duke.
Yeah.
It was after they got rid of Quade that they started winning.
Yeah, exactly.
If you remember back, that's when they started winning.
And that was Khalil Whitney this year. We were still struggling, and it was the Georgia was his last game. Mm-hmm. And that was his last game ever in a Kentucky uniform. After that, we've only lost 2 games. They were both, one was close, one we lost by 9. That's a different story. But we've played tremendously well. And for having only like 8 rotation players, I mean, obviously you have like Riley Welch, Ben Jordan. They're not going to come in unless we're at about 40 with 3 seconds left.
The only time Ben Jordan comes in is if we need a relief pitcher.
Exactly. And even then, he's not even on the baseball team right now until like April. So, but you can compare those two a lot. With Quade Green at Washington, Khalil Whitney training for the NBA.
Khalil Whitney is.
We got a lot to say about him, but
yeah.
But I don't know this Kentucky team right now, and we'll talk. I guess we'll transition on into Auburn. Great game all around at Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. But let's move on to the big game tomorrow.
I was switching back and forth between the Kentucky game and the Bruins game.
Yeah.
The Kentucky game had a better result than the Bruins game.
Yeah.
I was pulling my hair out the other day watching them play Calgary. But shall we move on to Auburn?
Let's move on to Auburn. Let's do it. Well, we've covered Auburn before, right? Did not end up well. Tremendous letdown.
I did not have a good feeling going to that game, and you know how I am with feeling going into games. Yeah. That was not a game that
I knew. I was skeptical because it was the fourth
in a row, fourth straight Saturday game that we had on the road.
Because it was Arkansas, Texas Tech, and who was it after that? I think it was Auburn and then Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
So it was our third straight Saturday.
Yeah. Well, but the two before that were tough road games.
Yes.
Like Arkansas and Texas Tech. Those were tough places for Kentucky
Texas
to
Tech.
play.
That's probably the hardest play. Like that may be one of the hardest places to play. I've realized. Mm-hmm. But it was the third road game in a month on that Saturday. That's an easy way to say that. We had 4 road games every Saturday for a month.
4 straight Saturday road games.
Yes, it was the third one, and it was in Auburn, Alabama, going up against the Mr. Sweaty himself, Bruce Pearl. And as much as I dislike Tennessee, dislike them a lot actually. I do have a little bit of respect for Bruce Pearl.
I got a lot of respect for Bruce
and what
Pearl.
he's done at Auburn. He's turned that program completely from a football school, which they still are a football school, into a basketball school. Which they're a basketball school. They've had Charles Barkley.
Yeah, but that's not what they're known for.
Exactly.
Auburn football. War Eagle. That will always be their thing.
Davis is gonna go for the touchdown. Auburn's gonna win the football game.
Auburn's gonna win.
But hopefully it'll be a different result this Saturday. So let's go ahead and preview this game real quick.
Yep.
So, as we were saying, it was the third. We played them once. We lost by 9. It was a free throw competition, and they just shot more free throws, and we didn't rebound as well.
They missed a ton of free throws, too.
Oh, yeah. No, they missed a lot. So, I'm glad it was only 9 that they lost by, rather than, it could have been 18.
It could have been a hell of a lot more than it was.
They shot, I think, 47 free throws, if I'm not mistaken. I could be, but... The game is at Rupp Arena at Central Bank Center this Saturday. It's going to be a big fight feel in Lexington, Kentucky the entire day. The whole Saturday will be painted blue, as it usually is.
I was about to say, don't call it Catterday.
Yeah. So let's just look at some of the team's stats right now. So Auburn's last 5 games, they've only won 3 out of the last 5. One of those being in overtime against Alabama, which they almost lost too. So every game, it seems like, has been close. So, well, not close, really. So they lost by 12 to Missouri, at Missouri. Lost by 10 to Georgia, at Georgia. And they've won their past 2 home games. So it's looking like they haven't done very well on the road. So let me just look at all their losses. All their losses have come on the road in the SEC. To Alabama, Florida, Missouri, and Georgia.
Well, Missouri sucks.
That's a great segue.
Missouri sucks.
Missouri just sucks.
Oh, by the way, we were talking about free throws.
Yeah.
Auburn was 33 for 44.
44, yeah.
The free throw
so
line.
We could have lost by 20.
And they shot 18 for 51 from the field.
Oh, my God.
They were shooting 35%. They were 6 for 23 from 3. Really, they didn't play all that well.
They didn't, no.
But back to Missouri sucking. They're undefeated at home. Looks like some of these road losses aren't even close either. Like
no.
Blowout losses at Alabama, blowout loss at Florida. They didn't even crack 50 at Florida.
No, that's pitiful too.
85-73 at Missouri and 65-55 at Georgia. Georgia sucks too.
Yeah.
But by the way, isn't Tom Crean's record against the SEC? Isn't he like 4-25?
No, he's pretty bad. He's pretty bad.
It's awful. The only reason they won last week is because of a buzzer beater.
Yeah, exactly. That was a good buzzer beater, though. I will say that. But we look at Kentucky's last 5. Obviously, Kentucky's had it. If you're a Kentucky fan and you have the ESPN app, you're going to get a close game alert every game. All right?
Yep.
No matter what game it is. We played Ole Miss and had a close game alert. Right? Kentucky's won their past 5 games. They beat Vanderbilt by 14, Ole Miss by 5, LSU by 3, Florida by 6, and then Texas A&M by 9. So we're winning by single digits. We're not blowing teams out like we traditionally do. However, I've done some thinking on this here recently, and I think that's the best way to beat teams is beating them close. That way you don't get lazy. Mm-hmm. That way you play the full 40 minutes. You don't get. I mean, obviously you're gonna get tired throughout the game, but with all these players that we've had playing 35 plus minutes every game, it's showing that they can go the distance, Now, come March, that might be a little bit more difficult from them. Obviously they're not going to be playing SEC opponents. They're going to be playing non-conference opponents most likely. We'll get into bracketology later, but right now Kentucky's projected as a 3 seed. And that's likely to move up too, so we'll be playing higher seeds, obviously. Lower seeds, like a 14 or 15. So, it's just training them for March, in all honesty.
What I'll say here's what I'll say. I think that this Kentucky team, if they have a 7-point lead in the second half, I don't feel like they're going to blow it.
That's the thing, yeah.
A 7-point lead feels like 15 or 16 in my opinion. Does that make sense?
Yeah, just because
I don't think they're going to lose. Like same thing, like at Tennessee, when we played at Tennessee about a month or so ago, mm-hmm. They were winning by like 10 points. They weren't going to lose.
Yeah.
I never once sat down and thought, oh God, the Vols might come back.
No, obviously you get a little concerned at times, but like
same thing with Arkansas. Well, actually, no, that's not a bad example because I thought they might actually blow that one.
Yeah.
But let's see. What was one that they won? It was Georgia. They played Georgia at home. They won by 10. The Dogs cut it within 5, but I never thought Kentucky's going to blow this.
But even then, it's a road game. You haven't played Anthony Edwards. He's probably going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. So, you got to. That's one. If you stop him, you're good. But even then, there's a dark horse that shows up.
Mm-hmm.
So, but let's look at some of the team stats right here. Right, let me just pull this right back up. So, my stats are on my phone today because my computer is very slow. So let's look at some of the team stats here. Let's look at Auburn. They're scoring 78 points a game and allowing 70. Kentucky is scoring 74 and allowing 65. So. They're usually, on average, they beat teams by 9 points, whereas Auburn beats teams by 8 points. So that plays in our favor. We have a higher field goal percentage by 3, 46-43. Auburn gets more rebounds per game, 41-37. Assists are pretty much the same. They're both 13. Blocks and steals, Auburn has more steals per game, 6-5. Then blocks are both 5 a game. Kentucky's on a 7-game win streak, and Wyatt, we talked about this here recently. We talked because we both had them go 26-5, and we're pretty right on this prediction so far. So, and we talked here recently. We talked at the beginning, like early to mid-February. We were talking, and if Kentucky loses one more game, we have to pick which one it is. I said it was going to be the LSU game. I said we would lose the LSU game. That'd be our final loss heading into the SEC tournament. Well, we won the SEC game, the LSU game, And I honestly just don't see us losing any more maybe in the SEC championship to like a hot Alabama team or something. Like if that, I'm not saying we're going to win the SEC championship because there's like a lot of dark horses that can win it. Like Auburn last year. However, I don't see them losing the rest of the season. I think they do go 26-5. Do you see them losing the next 3 games either against Auburn, Tennessee, or at Florida?
I do think they need to lose one more before the tournament time, just because if they don't lose any more, like let's say they, beat Auburn, beat the Vols, and then beat Florida. Mm-hmm. That'll put them at 26-5. And let's say they run the table and win four? I think it'd be 4 games in the SEC tournament. There's a 3.
Good. Well, okay. I want to say this: if we win tomorrow, we'll have the 1 seed in the SEC because we win it'll be our 38th SEC regular season championship.
I think it's 3. I think they'll play 3 games.
Yes.
In the SEC tournament.
Let me pull up the SEC bracket.
That would put them at 29-5.
Yeah.
That would mean that they haven't lost in. If it'll load. That'll mean that the last time that they would have lost would have been February 1st.
That's quite a while away.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like why they might. I'm not saying that I want them to lose because I don't. I want Kentucky to win.
Yeah.
But it might. They might need. To be hungry for a win headed into the SEC tournament.
They don't want to get too cocky. Much.
Don't get complacent.
So I pulled up the bracket right here, and let me pull up the SEC stats real quick. And I will get into something. Okay, well, I can try to figure it out right now. So Kentucky would be the 1 seed. They would be playing the 8 or the 9 seed. So
let's figure out who that would be.
Yeah, so do you care to pull up the SEC standings?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was actually going to read.
Okay, go ahead. So give me the 1 through 4 seeds. Or give me the 1 seed and give me the 8 and the 9 seed.
All right, for all you listeners out there, this is as of right now, as of 4:18 p.m. on February 28th.
Yes. Leap year this year, so we got an extra day.
So the 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's Kentucky, Auburn, LSU, and Florida.
Kentucky, Auburn, LSU. Okay.
Then,
so Kentucky, if Kentucky wins tomorrow, this will be possibly who we play. Who is the 8 seed and who is the 9 seed?
Well, would it be that though?
Yeah, because right here, this is the bracket right here. Because so the 12 and the 13 play each other in the first game.
So that would be Georgia and Ole Miss. And then Missouri would play Vanderbilt. And the winner of that would play, who's the 9 seed? 1, 2. The 9 would be either Tennessee or Alabama.
So the winner of that game would play Kentucky on the 7th game of the entire tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, yeah, so they would have Tennessee or Alabama would have 1 day's rest going up against Kentucky, whereas Kentucky would have, so if Kentucky's the 1 seed and it's March 9th, our final game, I think, is March 1st. I could be mistaken. No, our final game isn't March 1st.
No, that's like a couple of days. That's like 2 days from now.
That's true.
It's probably March 5th or something.
March 7th. Okay. Wait. That's not right, is it? Okay, well, this is a bracket from a few years ago. So it just has different standings. But
it's the same way, though.
Yeah, exactly. So we play them like probably a week later after that. This is interesting because... Okay. I'm trying to figure... Okay, updated SEC tournament bracket with 3 games left. Here we go. Thank you, KSR. Okay, so the way it's looking... Kentucky would play Alabama or Tennessee, and the winner of that would possibly face Ole Miss or Georgia, Mississippi State, LSU. It'd be that. So, in the championship, Kentucky could play the following: Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Texas A&M, South Carolina, Auburn, Florida. If we get to the championship, I think we win it. Just because, we have LSU in our bracket, Mississippi State, Alabama, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Georgia. The only one in that bracket I'm scared of is LSU. That's because LSU will be at a neutral site.
Alabama scares me a little.
Alabama can be a dark horse, believe it or not. Alabama's been lighting it up.
Alabama is good at pulling off upsets in basketball.
Alabama is the 9th seed, too. So, see, Kentucky, because even then, here's the thing. If Auburn wins, that would put them at 12-4, and that would put Kentucky at 13-3. So, Kentucky would have to win out if they wanted to do it. And they play Tennessee Tuesday.
They're not going to lose at home to Tennessee.
I don't think so either. And they play at Florida. Florida would be a tough one.
Florida will be, well, actually, that makes this game a lot more important. Who does Auburn have left? If Auburn has an easy schedule left, then tomorrow's game matters a lot more.
Yeah, so Auburn has what they have left. They have Kentucky tomorrow, Texas A&M, and Tennessee. They got a pretty easy slate, but they're going into Tennessee on their final game. Tennessee can be a tough place to play.
Tuesday or Saturday?
Saturday at noon.
I still don't trust the Vols. Remember when I said Missouri sucks?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the Vols aren't much better.
Exactly. I hate Tennessee, so. But let's look at some of the player stats in this Kentucky game. We'll get into more bracketology here after a while. But for right now, Kentucky is fighting for the 1 seed in the SEC tournament. Mm-hmm. And if they win the SEC tournament, they can make a strong case for one of the top 2 seeds, pretty much. So, they could be, because last year Kentucky was the 6th overall seed, but they were the 2nd best 2 seed. It's weird how it works out, but
I still don't think Kentucky will. I can make a case for it, but I don't think they're going to give it to us just because, number one, they'll never drop Duke for anything, and two, I just feel like that Evansville loss is going to really hurt them. But at the same time, Duke lost to Stephen F. Austin, and they're doing just fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
and they've lost more unranked opponents than Kentucky has.
Yeah. Joe Lenardi.
Yeah.
That's gross.
Yeah. He is not liked in the Commonwealth right now. So let's look at some of the player stats right now. The big key matchup for Kentucky.
Well, now the basketball team knows what the football team feels like when they're disrespected.
Exactly. Right. Samir Dottie, great player. I will admit that. He is a tremendous talent.
He dropped 23 in the last game against Kentucky.
Exactly. He's averaging 16 points a game, 76% from the free throw line, and a 41% field goal percentage. Compared to Emmanuel Quickly. Quickly has 16.2, which is 0.1 points more than him, a 42% field goal percentage, and a 92% free throw percentage. So in that matchup, I'll give it to Quickly. Rebounding, Austin Wiley. I think he could be one of the best centers in the nation, just because.
Is he number 50?
Yes. Yeah.
I remember him.
Yeah.
He was tearing it up in the last game.
9.4 rebounds per game. That is crazy. He averages 3.6 offensive rebounds and 5.8 defensive rebounds. He beats Nick Richards in every category right now. Whereas Nick Richards, he averages 7.9 points per game, 5.3 defensive rebounds, and 2.7 offensive rebounds.
Well, Isaac Okoro is pretty good too.
Isaac Okoro is insane.
He's missed a couple games, but he's still averaging 13 a game.
I think he's projected
4 rebounds.
He's projected a lottery pick in the draft too. He's a tremendous talent. And then you got with the assists, Higgins wins this one against Javon McCormick. He averages 6.5 compared to McCormick's 4.5. But he also forces more turnovers, 3.5 to McCormick's 2.4. So, yeah, like we said earlier, Higgins, that is his biggest problem. And I'm actually scared for Higgins in this one because you know who he turns the ball over the most against?
Auburn. Well, he only had actually the Kentucky team against Auburn, we only had 12 turnovers in our last game against them. Which may seem like a lot, but for this team, it's pretty good because we turn it over a lot.
Yeah.
This team turns it over a lot, but they're good at recovering from it.
But like 7 or 8 of those were Higgins alone.
In the last game?
Yeah.
I didn't know he had that many turnovers.
He had
Auburn game.
Yeah, he was awful against Auburn. That's his kryptonite is Auburn. Because even if you go back to the last year's tournament game, he was the main reason we lost.
Well, I don't like to blame losses on one person, but he sure didn't help.
No. I kind of blame that one on P.J. Washington, too. Because if he makes his free throws, which he missed...
That's a full team. This is off topic, but I think honestly, the last 2 years we've gotten knocked out of the tournament, Kansas State and Auburn, those have been like full team losses in my opinion. There's no one player you can look at and say, "Oh, you suck. You lost us this game."
Well, here's the thing, though. I don't.
There are obvious players that played like terrible.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day,
there
are 5 guys on the court.
Yeah,
not just
exactly.
one. It's not like tennis where you suck and it's your fault.
But when I look at that game last year, like obviously PJ Washington was coming off injury. He was doing his best to carry the team, so I give him respect for that. But the free throws did hurt. Like not just him too. It was the whole team. Free throws and turnovers hurt us that game. We definitely could have improved on that. And I think we have this season compared to last season. Free throw percentage. We have one of the best free throw shooters in the nation with Emmanuel Quickly. Richards has improved his free throw tremendously. When he goes to the line, I'm not scared like I was the past 2 years.
No.
Hagens and Maxey.
Anytime Nick Richards would have the ball the last 2 years, I'm just like,
yeah, exactly.
gripping my hair, ready to pull it out.
And even then, I say what you will about EJ Montgomery. I'm his biggest fan. I love EJ. He's improved tremendously.
He's gotten a lot better.
Yeah. And even then, when he goes to the free throw line, I'm not scared anymore.
This team, I feel like they're good at shooting free throws.
Yes.
That might be the stupidest thing I've ever said. But this team, they are good at shooting free throws.
Oh, yeah. And that's something that Calipari, as force, in past teams before. Our championship team was great at free throws, in 2012. You had Terrence Jones, Deron Lamb. Davis wasn't all that great at free throws at the time. He's tremendous now. He leads the NBA in free throw percentage. But, I do think that Kentucky is. I've said this before. I've said this before the podcast. I wouldn't want to face Kentucky in March. I always get scared when I look at some of the brackets. I always see oh, hey, we're facing Maryland in the second round, possibly. But Maryland's also facing Kentucky, too. I don't ever think about that. So, when we went down to Auburn the first time, they didn't come to see Auburn. They came to see Kentucky. That's what every team in Kentucky goes on the road. They go to see Kentucky, obviously. Because Kentucky's a blue blood. They're historically good. They've never really been, that 2000s, you could say we were kind of bad. That's because we didn't have a really good head coaching staff like we do now. We don't have the recruiting skills that we had back then. Let me rephrase that.
They did.
Yeah.
But they couldn't develop them very
Exactly,
well.
right.
Like Coach Billy G, he had Ramal Bradley. Ramal Bradley was good.
Yeah, he was.
Crawford was the
Meeks.
Yeah, Jody Meeks.
Rondo.
Yeah, Rajon. Was he? He wasn't a Gillespie kid, was he? I thought he was Tubby Smith.
No, he was the year before Gillespie. I'm sorry. He was Tubby Smith's last year.
I'm saying now, Tubby was a good coach.
I like Tubby. Say what you will. I love Tubby Smith.
I'm not taking anything away from him. Coach Billy G, he sucked.
No,
He had good players. He just didn't know how to develop them.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I'll say about Auburn is they shoot a lot of threes, and when War Eagle is dropping threes, look out.
Yeah.
And that's what it came down to in the tournament.
Yeah.
Auburn was hitting threes, and Kentucky couldn't come back.
Yeah.
So I think if Auburn is hitting threes tomorrow, it'll be unsettling, to say the least.
It will be. It will be. It is a ruckus crowd. It is the third sold-out game this season for Kentucky, which is sad, but also we haven't had Saturday games like we did last year. Last year we had a buttload of Saturday games.
Blame it on the scheduling.
Yeah.
Because some of these games, for example, why are we playing the Vols on a Tuesday?
Yeah.
That should be a Saturday game every year.
You best believe I'm going to that, though. I don't care if it's at 9 o'clock. I'm going to that game. It's going to be very fun, too. My family's wanting to get tickets, though. It's really late, but I'll try my best. But and we'll talk about that.
By the way, Kentucky is going to blow out Tennessee. I can tell you this right now.
I'm knocking on wood right now just to make sure.
Kentucky is going to murder Tennessee.
I hope so. I I hope we make. I said I don't want to say this out loud, but I kind of want to because it's Tennessee. I said Fulkerson, their senior guard, or not guard, forward, excuse me. I said that he. No, I'm not gonna say it. I want to have a job in the future, so I'm not gonna say it. But
Fulkerson,
I'm just gonna text it to you.
Fulkerson has the most hittable face in college basketball since Grayson Allen, in my opinion.
I'm gonna text you what I was gonna say. I want you to react to it. Okay.
I'm not gonna read it out loud. I'll react to it.
Okay.
But while Isaac is typing, do we want to move on to?
I want to ask you this before you react. I just sent it.
Oh, I just saw it on my computer. Yeah, it's probably a good thing you didn't say that out loud.
Yeah. I mean,
you and I would like to get hired one day. So.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's awful.
But yeah, but why I want to ask you this, I'm not trying to call you out. I'm not trying to call you out right now. But there were a couple times in the season where, and to much chagrin of you, I kind of agreed too. There were times where you felt like this team wasn't it.
No. There were the beginning of the year. No.
How do you feel now about this team?
Well, I told you the month of January was the most critical month of the season, correct? Because we had, in that span, Louisville game was, no, I was thinking the Louisville game was in January. I was in December.
Yeah.
We'll still count it, though.
That started the
we'll still count it. From late December to the end of January, you had the Louisville game, you had the start of SEC play, you had Georgia and Missouri, and then you also had Kentucky playing road games at Arkansas, at Texas Tech. Technically Auburn was February 1st, but
yeah.
I do think this team can make a good run. Can they win the championship? I don't know.
To be determined.
To be determined. And that's not a knock on Kentucky, just because I think, and I'm saying this because I think the championship is so wide open.
There are 30 teams that could win it. It's insane.
Over half of them could probably do it, if we're being honest. But I think Kentucky is one of those half that could do it. I do believe in this team a lot more. I will say, I was wrong when I said this team sucks, because I don't think they do. It was kind of like a knee-jerk reaction, when we were up by 14 against South Carolina and didn't win. I was just when we thought because at the time they were starting to get good.
They were on a hot streak in that.
And then they lost to South Carolina.
Yeah.
But like I said, I do think this team is a lot better. I think that there's a good chance that we'll be wrapping up the SEC come tomorrow.
So I agree.
And I would not have thought that even a month ago.
Yeah.
I thought we were probably going to be second or third.
Yeah. No, I mean, it feels good to be back in the top of the SEC. And last year, we finished, I think, third. I'm pretty sure.
The SEC was really good last year.
Yeah. With LSU, Tennessee, Kentucky, Auburn. Who else do we have? Even Alabama was decent.
Did they make the tournament?
Last year?
Yeah.
I think they did, yeah.
The SEC was represented pretty well in the tournament last year, because I think Arkansas and somebody else made it too. We had 7 teams make it, which is very rare.
Yeah.
Considering the way that the SEC basketball has been the better part of 10 years.
It's the way ACC football's been. Yeah. And there's always one good team, Clemson, somewhat good teams, Louisville, and I don't know who else you could say.
Virginia Tech.
Yeah, exactly. And then the rest are just okay. Well, we'll save that for a later date. I want to ask who you think player of the game is and why.
Well, I'm sure as hell not going to pick Ashton Hagans.
Avoid that at all costs.
Zero disrespect to Ashton Hagans, but he cannot get it done against Auburn. I hope he does. I hope he finally picks it up. But for the sake of this one, I'm going to have to go with Emmanuel Quickley. I feel like Emmanuel Quickley has been, arguably the most consistent player this season. When Kentucky needs a basket or when Kentucky needs a lift, it seems like Emmanuel Quickley is the guy that does it.
Yeah.
And that's so crazy to think about because he was not all that good last year.
No.
He has come so far
and
in that year.
He was a really good role player last year.
He was, but
coming up as a starter now, he's done tremendous.
He was a good role player last year, but on the court, like shooting, he was not getting it done. He, like I said, I think he's going to be my player of the game again, just because of how much he has improved and how consistent he's been. Now, right now, we're talking about the matchup predictor. This is actually surprising me because I figure it would be more. ESPN's matchup predictor is giving Kentucky a 69% chance to win the game.
Nice!
That is actually lower than I thought it would have been. I figured it would have been like 77 or 78.
I'll take it. I will take it. So
they have not released the line either.
I do want to give my player of the game prediction. So I remember we were watching the Michigan State game, first game of the season, and Maxey was going off. He had that 27-point game, first game as a college player, went off. And I told everybody, I said, Emmanuel Quickley's the best shooter on the team, by far. And I'm not going to call out Garrett Lockwood. That's his name. Go find him on social media. Bash him. No, I'm kidding. Garrett's a great guy. I remember Garrett looking at me and saying, better than Maxey? And I said, uh-huh. Well, I don't want to say I'm right, but I'm not wrong,
He's more consistent than Maxey in my opinion.
Yes, exactly. However, I am going to take Tyrese Maxey as player of the game. And for one reason only. It's a CBS game.
Really?
Yes. You look at the CBS games we've played. We've had Louisville, went off in Louisville. Ohio State and Utah. We lost those games, but he played tremendously well. He's the reason we were in those games to begin with. Ohio State was more Nate Sestina, so I'll take Ohio State off.
I'm not going to lie. I sometimes forget that Nate Sestina's on the team until I see him on the court.
Exactly.
Zero disrespect to him, but sometimes I forget about him.
The Tennessee game, great performance by him as well. I think he almost had a double-double in that one. I think he scored, 16 in that one. Or something like that. Something along the lines of that. But a Kentucky game at home with CBS, I don't think we lose. I think that was like with Auburn last year. We had a CBS game at the same time, too.
Kentucky blew them out, too.
By 30.
30-point
win. 30 points. I think it was 81 to 50. I'm pretty sure. I could be mistaken. But we destroyed them. It's going to be a different story this game. But I do think Tyrese Maxey wins player of the game. I do think he shows up. He doesn't want to be outshined by Quickley. He's going to go for 35 plus instead of Quickley.
He's going for 35?
I don't think he will. I think that's what they're going to strive for. I think every Kentucky player at this point, they're like, I want to do better than Quickley. No, I want to do better than Quickley. And then Quickley's like, step aside. I'm going to score 40 in this one. Hot take. I think he gets higher than 30 in this one though. I do think Quickley gets it. All right.
Quickley drops more than 30?
Yeah, I think he could. Do I think he will? I don't know. He's going against Dowdy. Dowdy's a very good defender. However, that's why I have Tyrese Maxey, because I just think Tyrese Maxey, I don't think he'll have an 8 3-pointer made game. Mm-hmm. However, I do think he's going to come up crazy on defense, have some clutch free throws possibly, and I just think he gets it done in the end. So.
Do we want to do score predictions and then we'll move on to bracketology?
Let's do that.
How are we doing on time, by the way?
We are at 49 minutes now.
I'll give my score prediction first.
Okay.
We already did play of the game. I said it was going to be Emmanuel Quickley.
Picnic and quick.
Yep. I think Kentucky wins this game. By how much, it's hard to say, just because if Auburn is hitting their threes, this could be, kind of have you, shaking in your boots, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to pick Kentucky to win this game. I'm going to go 83-79. 83 to 70.
Okay.
Plus or minus 3. So 7 or 13 points. I think that Kentucky has been a lot better at playing defense. Mm-hmm. And the first time we played this team, we gave up, 75 points?
Yeah.
And, 33 of those 75 points were from the free throw line.
Yeah.
I think Kentucky has done a much better job in the last couple of games staying out of foul trouble.
Yes, yeah.
And so if we can continue that, I think that we can keep them off the free throw line and keep them from killing us. Now, even the last game we played them, they were only 75% from the free throw
exactly.
line.
They didn't make all of their 44 free throws.
No, they did. They made 33 of their 44. Mm-hmm. Left a lot of points on the table, but that is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 83 to 70. I think this game will be close I think that this will be another one of those games where it'll be close, but you don't think that Kentucky's going to lose.
Yeah.
Another thing that kind of, I think, frazzled Kentucky was how raucous that Auburn crowd was.
Yeah.
That place I don't even think it holds 10,000 people, but it gets crazy in there.
Oh, yeah. See, Rupp holds 20,000, right?
Yeah.
All right. They're
so it's going to be harder.
So
it's going to be harder for Kentucky to get frazzled.
A sold-out Rupp Arena is hard to play in.
Yeah.
Even with all the old people there, it's still hard to play in because it gets loud. Mm-hmm. I don't know when your last game was, but if this game's gonna be anything like the Tennessee game, which I don't think it will be. Tennessee was number 1 at the time.
There's more on the line.
Yeah,
that was a Saturday night game.
Yeah, this is Saturday afternoon, CBS. Everyone's probably gonna be drunk from Tukey's, heading over to the game, or getting drunk afterwards from happiness or sadness. Whoever knows. However, it's gonna be a ruckus crowd there tomorrow afternoon.
That's why I don't think it's going to be close. That's why I picked, 83 to 70.
83 to 70, yeah. So I'm going to give my score prediction.
What you got?
See, here's what concerns me, right? Quickly hit 8 threes. We hit, 11 total?
11 out of 22. Shooting 50%.
We had 69 points. Usually if we do that, we're close to the 80s. So,
yeah.
Something's got to give. I do think Kentucky wins this one. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna do something big. I think this game goes to overtime.
Really?
I think it goes to overtime, and I think Kentucky gets to win by at least 5. I'm gonna say it's gonna be 84-79.
Okay.
I do think this one goes into the 80s. I think Auburn hits a lot of threes. I think Kentucky struggles early. They're gonna feed off the crowd late in the second half, like they always have done this season. They are definitely the comeback cast, the second half team. If it is a blowout, I will definitely take that. Nothing against that.
I don't think it will be a blowout. That's why I only picked 13.
Yeah. So but hot take, I think it goes to overtime. I think Kentucky's going to show up and give the crowd a big game. So I think Kentucky's due for another scare at this point. Because we always, cut it close, but whenever it's on the line, this will be a true test to see if they win it all. If they can win it all. Mm-hmm. So I pick 84-79. That's my final score, heading into overtime too. So let's look at a little bit of bracketology right now. As some of you may know, Kentucky and Joe Lunardi haven't gotten along this year.
Not at all.
But as of right now, before next week, Kentucky's a 3 seed in the Midwest bracket, which is an ideal place for Kentucky to be.
You'd think.
Yes. But in this bracket, you also have Kansas as a Midwest team. Kansas is scary to play right now. Kansas is the number 1 overall seed. However, this does mean Kentucky's the top 3 seed possibly too. So that's a good thing. So
in Kentucky's bracket
Go
right
ahead,
now,
Wyatt. Go
you
ahead.
have Kansas, LSU, Indiana, Michigan State, Louisville, Ohio State, obviously Kentucky, Butler, and Maryland.
Yes.
Now, if the tournament happened tomorrow, Kentucky would play Bowling Green in St. Louis. And they would play the winner of Ohio State and Wichita State. None of that will not be an easy game for Kentucky to win.
No. It's a good location, I think.
It's a good location. And, the Elite Eight, if Kentucky were to make it that far, is in Indianapolis. Advantage Kentucky.
Yes.
Bracket-wise, disadvantage Kentucky.
Yeah.
So, Isaac, I'll ask you. Last week when we did this podcast, Kentucky was projected to be in the South bracket, I believe.
Yes, they were. They were in Tampa, I'm pretty sure, in the South bracket.
It was either I thought it was it was the East bracket that they were supposed to be in. I think because they would have been in the same bracket as San Diego State.
San Diego State and Dayton.
Yeah,
that's who it was.
So I'll ask you:
and we were the 4th seed.
Easier bracket, not as great location, or tough bracket, better location?
That's. I mean, travel does have a lot to do with how people play. Mm-hmm. Kentucky going out west was not a success this year. We went to Vegas, lost both games.
No, I do not want to go to Spokane, Washington.
I don't either. I would definitely take the harder schedule. I think harder schedule, easier location. Because you get more fans going. That gives them more motivation. You're not too far away. Plus, if you're in Indianapolis, that's great for recruiting too. That's off subject kind of. But even then, if you're in somewhere like Indianapolis or St. Louis, BBN will travel.
They will.
St. Louis is only 4 hours away from my hometown. I know some nuts that will travel there. Indianapolis, I think, is 3. And
Indianapolis isn't that far from here. It's a straight shot up 65.
Exactly. So we'll go with Alex Kyleman back home. We'll go see the combine.
Well, another thing to consider is in this Midwest bracket, there's a lot of teams that are close to there. Indiana, Michigan State, Louisville, Ohio State. These are Butler's in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So, I look at this and I think we'll draw a crowd, but so will the other teams.
Yeah. When you look at, obviously March Madness, you throw records out of the book. You throw every regular season statistic out of the book. It's a brand new season at this point.
It is.
Kentucky, I think, in this bracket, besides Kansas and Maryland, and it's obviously going without saying, and maybe Louisville, the top 4 seeds, those are the only ones I'm really concerned about. Indiana, they have been very inconsistent. However, they get big key wins. LSU.
I think LSU will beat Indiana, and I'll say this right now. I think LSU could beat Kansas. I could see this being one of those years where, one of the top seeds obviously is out after the first weekend.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't, that is not a matchup that Kansas wants. It's kind of like when, I'll give you an example. In the NFL, right? You win your division, you're playing the first round, you draw a wild card team.
Yeah.
For example, the Philadelphia Eagles this season, they won their division, but they drew the Seahawks. They got blown out in the first round. They won
their division by 2 games, 9 and 7.
But they drew a wild card and they got blown out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same thing here. You'll play an 8 seed, but you're going to play LSU probably. And LSU, they're good. They're not a pushover.
Look at Kentucky 2014 going up against, I forget who we played in the first round. I think it was Kansas State.
Yeah, it was Kansas State.
Kansas State.
Wichita State.
We played Wichita State. I think we were in the Midwest.
That was the luckiest 1 seed we could have ever got.
Exactly.
But they were still good.
They were really good. That was the Fred VanVleet team, too.
Yep.
So, had them. And then the next round was Louisville. Mm-hmm. Next round after that, Michigan. After that, Wisconsin. And after that was UConn.
And then Connecticut. By the way, I don't think Connecticut's made the tournament since then.
No, they haven't. Yeah, it's dog shit. It's dog shit they won, too.
Yeah, you suck.
I hated how they won. I cried my eyes out when they won. But Kentucky plays good against good teams in the tournament. If you noticed in recent past, we don't play good against bad teams. If you look at Kansas State, if Kentucky beats Kansas State, we win that championship.
I don't think they win the championship, but they easily go to the Final Four.
Oh my gosh, I think they would have won the championship just because that whole bracket was it was a cakewalk.
Kentucky had, back in 2017 or 2018? 2018 would have been.
Yes, because that was PJ's first year.
So they had the road paved for them to go to the Final Four, and they...
it irks me that they lost in the Sweet 16.
That might be the most disappointing Kentucky team outside of the 2013 team.
Yeah.
Just because that team wasn't even all that good, but they had a shot to go to the Final Four. An easily paved road.
Yeah, that was
to the
Virginia's
Final Four.
bracket. That was the 16 seed.
That's
we
what
were
that. That's
we
I
were
forgot
in
we
the
were in that with.
We
them.
were in UMBC's because Kansas State. Yeah, because Kansas State
beat the team that they lost to, UMBC.
They beat UMBC, and then we played them in the Sweet 16. Man, that was pitiful.
That drives me up a wall even today. Like, thanks, Kevin Knox.
Yeah, we had that one. But anyway, that's years past. This is now. I think our team is tremendous. We don't have the star like we did with Anthony Davis, but we do have the returning players that we did back then. So comparing Terrence Jones to somebody would be hard. Terrence Jones is one of my favorite all-time Kentucky players just because of what he did on the court for Kentucky. He was a powerhouse. He reminds me...
He doesn't get the recognition
he really
deserves.
He really
does. Anthony Davis and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist are the two guys that are always going to stick out from that team. Yeah. Terrence Jones was a hell of a player.
Who stuck out to me a lot was Deron Lamb in that team.
I forgot he was on that team.
He was the main reason we won the championship because I think Davis, he didn't even do good in the championship. It was all Gilchrist and Lamb. That was who it was. And then Jones, obviously, too. And then who else was on that team? It was
Patrick Patterson?
Darius Miller. Patrick Patterson was John Wall's first year. And then
I thought he was on the championship team.
No, that was because he went to the draft with John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Bledsoe, and Horton. So, but Darius Miller.
I still hate that we lost to West Virginia. I can't stand West Virginia.
We like living in the past here at the Zero Disrespect podcast.
But today we do, not now.
Not typically.
But today we're just ranting about times that we should not have lost to West Virginia.
Exactly. I West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home.
Yeah, St. Louis. That's some St. Louis Blues. I hate the St. Louis Blues. We're really reminiscing.
I hate the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah,
I hate the
Cardinals
entire city of St. Louis.
Cardinals are starting to rub me the wrong way too. So,
but no, I do think Kentucky does have a. I like this bracket that we're in. I really do. No, it's one of the tougher brackets. I will say that. However, I do think it's good for Kentucky.
No, Duke right now is in the West. They are the 2 seed in the West, and they play in Greensboro, North Carolina, home game. So basically, that means that they're not going to get knocked out.
They're going to the Sweet 16 either against BYU, USC/Oklahoma, Creighton, or UCF. Right. So yeah, they're going to the Elite Eight.
Let's see. Honestly, if Kentucky were to be in any bracket, I'd say either put them in the one that they're in now or in New York in the East one.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. San Diego State. I'll give them credit. I've seen them play. They are talented. They are a very good team. I had my doubts about them, but also Dayton. I don't know. It's the East bracket. You got San Diego State, Florida, Colorado, Liberty. Liberty is an underrated team, and I think they could knock off Colorado. Penn State, Stephen F. Austin, who
Penn
beat
State's
Duke.
a lot better. Iowa and Cincinnati.
Seton Hall will be tough.
Seton Hall's good.
And West Virginia.
I have some very strong opinions about West Virginia.
Yes, we do. But all in all, I think Kentucky is. If they can remain a 3 seed, I'll be happy. But if they can get a 2 seed, I'll be happier. I don't think they'll get a 1 seed. If they do, that'll be tremendous. However, I think
a lot of I can't.
1 seeds have had bad luck here recently, so I'll definitely take a 2 seed like we were last year, and whatever they decide to give us, we're just gonna have to play our cards right and try to win.
Just keep us out of the West. That's all I want.
Yes,
I don't want to play in Spokane, Washington.
No, that'd be awful.
I don't want to play in Omaha, Nebraska, or Sacramento, or LA, or wherever.
Exactly. So. Well, Wyatt, I think it's going to be the end of the podcast for today. Would you like to give any shout-outs?
None that come to mind.
Gotcha. I might give a couple myself. I want to give a shout-out to Casey Wilkins, former guest on the podcast. and Spencer Pike. They're both back in for the weekend. It's going to be a fun time here tonight. We're going to dinner with them later.
Yep.
It's going to be very fun to get the crew back
I should
together.
have given them a shout out.
Go ahead. I'll give that
shout out to them as well.
Yeah. Give a shout. Spencer's dad. Might as well shout him out too.
Shout out to Joe Lenardi for being an ass.
Yes, definitely. I want to give a shout out to my crew at SEC Network. They're currently filming the UNC Wilmington baseball game. I think it might be over now, but I think they're cleaning it up.
I hope that they came back and won.
I do too. They were down 3-0 in the 6th inning, so it wasn't looking good. But no, I do want to say I couldn't love my job more than I do. Being in college and filming for the SEC Network, it's a wonderful job. Love the cast and crew, not the cast, but I do love the cast. All the athletes and stuff, but. Just the production that goes into an SEC show. It's not easy work, but you make the most of it. And I just love my coworkers. And shout out to the newbies coming in. I got to train them. So if you're stuck with us, then I'm sorry.
I got another shout out.
Go ahead.
I'm going to give a shout out to William Shakespeare. I just finished reading Hamlet.
Okay.
And now we're reading Othello. I've never read Othello before, so this should be interesting.
It's got an overtime hello in it. OT hello.
Overtime hello.
Yes. So.
Hello.
But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's going to do us for today. Just tune in tomorrow, 3:45 Eastern, 2:45 Central Time for Kentucky versus Auburn. It's going to be a wonderful matchup, marquee matchup. Kentucky wins tomorrow. We have the 1 seed in the regular season SEC championship. And if we win the SEC championship, could qualify for the best 2 seed, possibly a 1 seed if things go our way, if every 1 through 4 seed loses. So, but for now, it's going to be it for us. Wyatt, we appreciate you being on the podcast yet again. It's always a fun conversation.
Always.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for listening. And as always, we are unique people with different opinions, but still zero disrespect. Have a wonderful day and go Kentucky.
Roof.